but I
But
didn't.
you can celebrate the potential government shutdown. So we've got, Congress less than 3 days to avoid the shutdown. I always think this framing is absolutely ridiculous. Like the government funding is going to run out at 12:01 a.m. on Sunday. It's like government funding never runs out. They'll
Well,
either take it from us or print up some more, come to some sort of agreement or take a nice break. But, this happens year after year. I'm excited to see what effect it has on the markets. House Republicans pushing for deep spending cuts. They're not going to support Senate bill or any short-term legislation that would buy Congress more time to act. So, yeah, there's going to be a vote late tonight on 4 funding bills that will fund defense and national security industries, but those bills are dead on arrival. So we shall
well,
see.
I would say the big things going on here with the shutdown is, first off, this is not like a full blown countrywide shutdown. This is literally a negotiating tactic that's used almost every year now, by whoever controls the House, almost. Especially when whoever controls the House is a different party than who controls the Senate and the White House. It literally just becomes a negotiating tactic. Some interesting caveats about this one in particular that just, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm in a bad mood about it, so I want you to be in a bad mood about it. Simple as that. Misery loves company. So look, not every government employee isn't going to get paid starting on Monday if they do shut down. High-ranking military officials, they'll get paid. Joe Biden, he'll get paid. Members of the Oval Office will get paid. Pretty much every high-ranking official. Even members of Congress. I'm not a big fan of Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz actually did do something I thought was at least admirable, in that he said, if we do shut down, I do not want to receive any paychecks during the period where the government is shut down. I don't feel like that's appropriate or a right thing to do.
How noble. How noble.
Well, look, he's doing this after having collected, I think it was to the tune of
after trading it on leverage all the way down.
no,
Guaranteed.
that absolutely. But the other thing that I'll always point to about Matt Gaetz, I believe he got about $3.5 million of PPP loans, and then he had all of that forgiven as well. So yeah, sure. If I had $3.5 million that the government just gave me, I could probably forego getting my salary for a few weeks, months, even 6 months. Especially if my salary is only 6 figures, I could probably go without a salary for a few years. But I'm not done. To this point, lower level members of the military actually don't get paid unless there's a specific clause. In fact, in 2019, when the government shut down, the Coast Guard unfortunately went without pay for that window of time. But again, high-ranking military officials do, and the only way for the government to avoid the low-ranking military officers from not being paid is to actually just create this addendum, essentially write out a clause, because they're all lawyers, saying, you know what, we're going to make sure that our service members, the people who sacrifice their lives to protect our freedoms, they're taken care of. Seems reasonable, but that actually hasn't gone through. But you know what the Pentagon pushed through? All funding for Ukraine is still a go, even if the government shuts down.
Of course it is.
All the funding for Ukraine. Now, keep in mind, we don't just fund their military.
That funding comes back to us in mysterious ways, though.
It's very straightforward. It's very straightforward, actually. I spent all week researching this for Mark Moss, but at its core, it's really just the military-industrial complex. Wash, rinse, and repeat. It's the same thing over and over, but it gets a little more sinister because Zelensky just met with all of these high-level Wall Street execs. But the one in particular that stood out to me was he met with the president of Blackstone. Now, Blackstone is not BlackRock. It is a type of company exactly like BlackRock, but it is a separate company. Blackstone owns a bunch of farmland, REITs that essentially own farmland to then lease back out to farmers. Also has a huge mining sort of presence, owns one of the largest lithium mines in the world, as well as other precious metal mines. They also have huge manufacturing components. In fact, they even manufacture semiconductors, amongst other things. And then, of course, they are involved within the political system. But how do I know that? Well, yesterday, Mitch McConnell got up in front of cameras and said the number one priority for Americans is ending the war in Ukraine, getting Russia in check. Look, I know Mitch McConnell is disconnected from the rest of the world. I know, I understand that, but when I looked at the Gallup polls, the number one issue for Americans is the corruption in our own federal government. So that's the number one issue per the Gallup polls. The stopping Russia isn't even in the top 10 per Gallup. So then I asked myself, like, okay, is Raytheon or Lockheed Martin just funding Mitch McConnell? Because they tend to. They do it back a little bit of backwards ways, but sometimes they do give direct large lump sum donations. And you can find a lot of this information. Just go type into DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever you like to use and just type in Mitch McConnell donors. And websites will pop up, because this is all supposed to be public records, of who his largest donors are. And Mitch McConnell's second largest donor is Blackstone. It's a long freaking con to sell off Ukraine piece by piece to not only the military industrial complex, but just Wall Street big money corporations, to then have them go off and profit. But to guarantee that profit, to make sure those investments don't go sour, they have to send tax dollars. Because remember, it's about the corporations, not the citizens of this country.